I'm not sure black people deserve a second term of Trump, bro. And he got Lil Wayne out of his jam. Kodak, he freed Kodak. He even freed the mayor of Detroit that was down for like 30 something years.
Everybody had turned their
He
back on
freed
him on
Kwame.
Kwame.
He freed Kwame.
And not only that, it was ASAP Rocky.
Yep, he got him out. Yep, he did.
He didn't have to do that.
He did.
He didn't have to do that at all. I think this time it's not for black people because it's too late for us to appreciate it. We could have set ourselves 10 years ahead of where we are now if we would have embraced him when he was in office those 4 years, elected him another 4. We would be vibrant.
But no, Jesus is Lord and he's coming back. I'm back. I'm back and I'm black still. Trump is the new black. Trump is the new black. Why? Because blacks have been complaining. The blacks have been complaining for decades about the justice system and how it was unfair to black people, even though that wasn't the case. And now here we have a clear case of justice, the justice system rigged in order to indict someone, but this person happens to be white. So I guess all of the anti-establishment leftists, the justice system is criminal. It's unjust for a certain segment of people. Those same rules don't apply when it's a white cisgendered male who happens to be a billionaire. Those same rules don't apply. Power to the people, right? Power to the people. Bunch of hypocrites. Do you know why that's the case? Why you see such a double standard? It's because liberals are mostly or wholly atheist. And atheism has no moral foundation for justice. That's why this can happen to someone, and if he's not black, no one's going to speak out against it, because in their moral paradigm, in their moral understanding of the world, because Donald Trump is a cisgendered white male, he doesn't deserve the same protection that an African American might deserve, or even a break, or even a pass. Blacks are given the pass. The same DA in New York City gives felonies a pass. When blacks commit felonies, they're let out of jail. Trump doesn't commit any felony, no crime at all, and he's indicted because they're atheist. That's why. Let me give you an example of what I mean. Congratulations, Red Fang. I know you're going to flag this channel because you don't like the content. That's fine. That's your right. But you've won dumb comment of the week. Dumb comment of the week comes from yours truly, Red Fang. Here's Pew Research. Percentage of atheists who
40,000
identify
different
as
denominations, and somehow you
Democrat,
are the ones correct.
lean Democrat, 70%. I was 10% off. Here you go. See how fast I found that? Liberals suffer from what I call Google selective syndrome. They don't even know how to Google correct. It's a sad state of affairs.
I'm not a liberal.
Democrat, right? They vote Democrat, right? If you're
Yeah,
speaking about a
60% of atheists, or 69% of atheists vote Democrat.
Vote right. Yes, they identify with.
That's not the entire majority.
Yeah.
Dumb comment of the week. A majority, Red Fang, to be considered a majority, all you really need is 51%. Red Fang. I don't know if you knew that or not, but that all you need so we have 69%. So we could say the majority of atheists vote Democrat. They're socialist. They're social Darwinists, many of them. Here are some of the red flags of socialism. They vote Democrat. They're atheist. So this can all be tied to the fact that these people are not born again. That's why they're supporting this. They're supporting an innocent man being put in prison because they don't like him. Why? Because they have no moral foundation for justice in their worldview. Their worldview doesn't account for justice for all, equal justice for all. Their worldview doesn't account for it. So they can pick and choose based on who they like, based on who treats them right, who they want to serve justice to. And they can pick and choose who they want to be serve, who they want to serve injustice to. Right? That's the hallmark of atheism. That's why atheism fails on a moral level. From a moral perspective, it fails.
William got that good dick. That's what I'm wondering.
Short hair is operating procedure for me.
Well, you know why I'm here, Rage. You know, no one's gonna come into the room.
This is normal hair for me. I always keep it short.
Okay, yeah, all right.
It looks a mess right now.
Knock, you know why I'm here, right? I'm here to answer one Bible question. No one's gonna come into the room while I'm here, so I'll answer one Bible question, then I'll leave so that you guys can have your safe space. What?
Huh?
Are all liberals atheists?
Majority of them, yes. According to Pew Research.
Not majority, all.
According to Pew Research, most 80%, about 80%.
80%
My dad's a Republican.
Wow, we're more popular than Christianity.
Yeah, vote Democratic. Yeah.
My dad's an atheist, and he's a Republican.
Shut up,
Trump twice.
Okay, he's in the 20% top.
It's not 80% of atheists are liberals.
God,
it's 80% of liberals are atheists. That's what
Listen
you said.
to this.
Sure, I know you're wrong, but let's see. So that's like age distribution.
I don't care what they call themselves. If you pull the lever and vote for Biden, and
because I'm like most of the country are Christians, but definitely a big vast majority are religious, and atheists. I mean, we're like maybe 8%, maybe 10 at the most.
Yeah.
So there's no way like all liberals are atheists if we're only like 10% of the population, right?
It proportionally, out of the 10%, out of that section, 80% of that 10% are vote Democrat. Okay. You know what proportionality is, right? Do I have to teach you math again, Rach?
Huh? I'm trying to find. You said Pew, right? So I'm trying to find. I'm in Pew Research Center.
I'm the teacher.
You said
Rach.
you had a Pew, so I'm trying to find what the fuck you're talking about right now.
Okay, give me some more Bible questions. That's what I'm here for.
Oh, now you want? I was just trying to fact check the bullshit you were saying because I don't see it here.
No one's gonna come in your room while I'm here.
I'm here on Pew Research. I asked the question you wanted me to ask, and it's like age distribution among liberals who are atheists. I got like. From 1829 to 29, it's like 40%. From 30 to 49, it's like 35%. But like nothing like what you're saying. So general cohort among liberals who are atheists, it's all kind of like in 27% range. Like I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Here's Pew Research. See how fast I found that? Liberals suffer from what I call Google selective syndrome. They don't even know how to Google correct. It's a sad state of affairs.
I'm not a liberal.
Democrat, right? They vote Democrat, right? If you're speaking about a
atheists, or 69% of atheists vote Democrat.
Vote right? Yes, they identify with.
It's not the entire majority.
Yeah.
It's not the entire majority. 69%. Derp. People are the dumbest people on the planet. The dumbest people on the planet. They know their facts, the facts that are fed to them by the mainstream media. They know those facts. They've memorized them. Memorization is not an indication that you're smart because you can memorize falsehoods, what you call facts. That doesn't mean you're smart. And then you'll go to a Christian room and say, well, do you know what it means to be cisgendered? And then the Christian will say, no, I've never heard of that. Oh, well, you don't really know. You don't really know a lot, do you? Well, you just made up that term last summer. And now you want to infuse it into our children's education as if it's a fact. because he made it up last summer. Atheism is the religion of stupidism. If that's a word, it is now. See, I can create words too, liberal. The belief that there is nothing and nothing happened to nothing, and then nothing magically exploded for no reason, creating everything. And then a bunch of everything magically rearranged itself for no reason whatsoever into self-replicating bits, which turned into dinosaurs. And now you're indicting Trump with no evidence because atheism is stupid. And that's why atheists support Democrats, because they're stupid. It's all about who they like. Go along to get along if you want to be friends with an atheist. Don't say anything that offends them, that might offend them, that might challenge them on their current beliefs. Don't say anything that might threaten their worldview or what they hold to, what they believe to be true. They indicted a man. Let me just give you an example of what the level of corruption that you are supporting when you vote for the Democratic Party. You are supporting evil. I could say that now, both on a political, theological perspective. You're supporting evil. This isn't the case where you're supporting one type of economic policy versus another, right? Because you prefer bottom up. You prefer that the government give the money to the people on the bottom and then they work their way up, right? As opposed to the more of the Democrat or the Republican perspective, which is top down economics, where we give all the money to the corporations and then the corporation hires those on the bottom, and that's how they make it up their way up. This is no longer the case where you could be a Christian and vote and support Democrats because you like their economic policy better than you like the Republican policy. That cannot be the case anymore. Not considering the fact that they've gone this far. Some people say left. We just say they've gone this far. Evil. Forget about left and right. It's good versus evil. When you're advocating for the mutilation of children, you are evil. Period. Or men dressing up as women because they feel like it, and then going into women's locker rooms and violating young girls. You are evil. That's what you are. Evil. Period. This isn't about politics anymore. If you support this, you support evil.
They are really confirming everything Trump has said about it. And anybody can read the details behind this indictment and see that it's completely trumped up and ridiculous. In a sense, is there any competent political observer who doubts that this is going to help him? There's a deeper conspiracy theory that that's the point, to get him the Republican nomination. I can't say that in either direction, but I just promise you, this is going to recruit many, many more people to be sympathetic to the Trump case, because Trump at this point is looking like victim of the system, a person being punished for his political opinions and his willingness to stand up to these interest groups, and now they're using the power of the court system to slap him down, and thereby adding yet another layer to the distrust in American civic life today. So much in American civic life today seems to be characterized by corruption and partisanship and manipulation of the law for ideological ends, and this just seems like another symptom of that case.
Trump is the new black. Prove me wrong. He's the new black. Wow. Jill simping for corporatism. What? Huh? Actually, history has taught us that the powers that be, the evil fascists, actually partnered with corporations, just like the Democratic Party did. So no, I'm not for corporatism. I don't know what that even means. I'm for the people, we the people. What I'm saying is that your economic policy, whether you are for top down or for bottom up, is no longer the line of demarcation between Republican and Democrat. Now the line of demarcation is those who want to put people in jail, innocent people in jail, for political purposes, those who want to partner with big pharma to kill your children, to inject them with poison, and those who just are patriotic. That's the line of demarcation. So if you're a Christian, patriotism is not a sin. You can support the Republican Party without losing sleep at night, or without the Holy Spirit convicting you. You cannot do so with the Democratic Party. You cannot call yourself. I challenge you to click on the link. If you want to come in, let me know. I have a basketball game to watch later. So, but if you want to come in and you're a Democrat and you think you're a Christian, I dare you to click on that link. You are not a Christian. You cannot support this and consider yourself a Christian. Period. What I was saying, Slim, is that the days of, well, I like this economic policy as opposed to this one, so I'm going to vote Democrat. Those days are gone. So no, I'm not for either top down or bottom up. Doesn't really matter to me. Doesn't really matter to me. So I don't know what you mean by corporatism. Sterling says, I think Trump will choose DeSantis as his running mate. I think he is going to choose DeSantis also, but I really do think DeSantis should stay his butt in Florida. I would like for Trump to really go after the swamp and choose General Flynn as his VP, but that's just me. Jefferson says at this point, DeSantis is hoping one of these indictments knocks Trump out of the race. Actually, that's not going to happen. Even if Trump is in jail, he can still run for president. So this is not going to knock him out of the race. This was designed more so to make Trump look bad, but it's actually helping him, according to the polls.
I'm not sure black people deserve a second term of Trump, bro. He got Lil Wayne out of his jail. Kodak, he freed Kodak. He even freed the mayor of Detroit that was down for like 30-something years.
Everybody had turned their back
on him.
Kwame.
He freed Kwame.
And not only that, was it ASAP Rocky?
Yep, he got him out. Yep, he did.
He didn't have to do that.
He did.
He didn't have to do that at all. I think this time is not for black people because it's too late for us to appreciate it. We could have set ourselves 10 years ahead of where we are now if we would have embraced him when he was in office those 4 years, elected him another 4, we would be vibrant.
But no, you're lying to you guys.
Allegedly.
Listen, I'm not going for Trump just because he's Trump. Since I was 18 years old, I've been voting conservative. You know why? I've been free a long time ago. There's no oppression. There's nobody holding you back. Don't have to hold you back. Listen, your biggest problem every single day is the one you see in the mirror. When you wake up in the morning, you see yourself, you're your biggest problem. Have a checker from the neck up. If you do that every morning, you're going to be great. Just go out there and make it happen for yourself. Every one of us can make it. Listen, make America great. Do you see this? It doesn't have Donald Trump's name on it. Bingo. This is you. You are Americans. He wants you to be great. You to be great.
Yes, sir.
We're all great. You know what? It's not about racial identity.
Facts.
Listen, all of us came from a womb. All of us going to go to a tomb. Doesn't matter who you are.
Nationalism, pride in your country. Gandhi was a nationalist. That is not a sin, saints. So stop this. Whoa, supporting the Republican Party. They're just as wicked. No, their policies are not. You can look at the individual and say, hey, look, that person cheated on his taxes, even though Donald Trump released his taxes and he shut up about that. They stopped that talking point really fast. So the person, the individual themselves, sure, every man is wicked. That's what the Christian worldview holds to. All have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. Our righteousness is as filthy rags, but we're not looking at the individual. We're looking at the policies. What is the party promoting? Is the party promoting good or is it promoting evil? Patriotism is not evil. In fact, I could prove from scripture that it is good, and that's what we're commanded to do. Read Deuteronomy 28. We are commanded to, basically the Bible says, look, if your country does well, you do well. God gave us to make America great again before Donald Trump. in Deuteronomy 28. He says, if the country does well, this is when they were in captivity in Babylon. The Bible says get married, plant vineyards, because if the country prospers, you will prosper, even though you're in captivity. God, the God of the Bible covers everything from A to Z. That's why we worship him. That's why we serve him. Let's see what the CNN panel has to say about Donald Trump's indictment. Donald Trump is the new black. That's why he's standing here with his fist up, just like those men did back in the during the Olympics during the 70s. That one white guy, he's got white privilege, so he didn't. Guy on the left, he didn't say anything, or he didn't hold his fist up. Maybe he's a racist.
Core conduct that is charged in this indictment is the payment of hush money. Now, payment of hush money is not a crime. It's not a federal crime. It's not a state crime. So how did they get here?
Not a crime.
Charges. They're relying on a state law that makes it, in the first instance, a misdemeanor to falsify business records. These are the repayments to Michael Cohen that were falsely logged within the Trump organization as legal fees when they were not legal fees. One of the complicated legal questions here is, in order to bump that up from a misdemeanor to a felony, you have to show that those records were falsified to commit some other crime, some second crime. Now, the indictment does not specify what that second crime is. You heard the defense lawyers, I think rightly, complaining about that. The whole purpose of an indictment is to serve notice on the defendant of what exactly you're charged with and what exactly you're going to be defending yourself against. Now, DA Bragg, again, who is a former colleague of mine, just clarified that a bit. He said federal campaign laws, there's going to be a legal question there. He said state campaign laws. I'm not sure how violations related to a presidential election would count as state campaign laws. There may be some creative
argument that we can come up with. Trump is the new black. Black people for decades have been falsely accused, falsely imprisoned, lengthier prison sentences for those selling crack instead, and lower sentences for those selling cocaine, powder cocaine, right? And because they're targeting blacks, they want them in prison longer. Trump is the new black. White supremacy doesn't exist. This is the proof. White supremacy does not exist. Liberal supremacy exists. If you're a liberal or a liberal supporter, you will be defended. You will get, not only the people you murdered won't get justice, but you'll get justice. You'll get their justice. You'll get social justice, which isn't justice at all. So you can commit crimes with impunity if you're a liberal or a liberal supporter, that being black. Not only do you get to college for free, if you commit a crime while you're in college, which you're not paying for, which the taxpayer is paying for, you get let out of prison. And then you get to sue the officer who arrested you because of 400 years of slavery. So here's how they did it. Here's how this district attorney, this coward, this liberal hack, this enemy of God, this is how he did it. No Christian would feel comfortable sleeping at night doing this to anyone. No Christian. So I can assume that he's not a Christian. So we pray for his, or maybe the deep state pressured him. Maybe they have something on him. But he ran on the idea he was going to get Trump, even if I had to make something up. So here's how they did it. You ask where the 34 counts came from. Instead of counting the total and saying, okay, you gave Stormy Daniels all of these payments. Now, Stormy Daniels was paid in installments. So it wasn't just one payment to Stormy to shut her up. Trump was trying to run for election, which is not a crime, by the way. Does not violate any laws in New York City. Instead of counting him one count of whatever the charge might be, they took each individual payment and considered that to be a count. So if I go to the grocery store and let's say the person's checking my receipt. I paid, let's say, to be consistent with the analogy, let's say I paid for all of the things on this list, meaning I didn't break any laws, just like Trump. He didn't break any laws. And then you go to, there's a person standing at the Walmart to check your receipt to make sure that you actually paid for those items in the cart. And the person takes the receipt and says, you stole all these items. And instead of charging you with one charge of burglary, or not burglary, but it would be considered shoplifting, we're going to charge you with each item in your cart. That's going to be one count. Count 1, shoplifting of large eggs. Count 2, shoplifting of milk. Count 3, shoplifting of cottage cheese. Count 4, et cetera, et cetera. That's how they were able to trump up the charges on Trump. I thought they only did this to black people. Trump is the new black. That's why they could do it to him also. Liberal supremacy exists. There's no such thing as white supremacy.
Attorney Robert Barnes noted on Twitter after reviewing court documents, the indictment is legally insufficient on its face. New York state law does not make it a crime to influence an election. Federal law does not make it a crime either. Maybe that's why no law is actually cited in the indictment, nor are the facts sufficient. Folks, keep in mind, this is what they're using to justify breaking precedent, going not only after a former president of the United States of America, which has never been done before.
No charges. Where are the charges at? Well, we don't need charges because Trump is not, Trump is a conservative, straight, cisgendered, quote unquote, white male. So we really don't need charges to bring him to lock him up. We just don't like him.
District Attorney Alvin Bragg's office revealed to House Republicans on Friday in a letter that roughly $5,000 in federal funds has gone toward Bragg's office in investigation of former President Donald Trump, meaning Biden administration funds were used in the investigation of Donald Trump. This is the other side of what we're watching right now. Meanwhile, Republicans, having won the House of Representatives, now have the investigative committees being able to use that committee to investigate the legal attacks against Trump and others. Meaning they can launch their own investigations. And from a federal standpoint, they can look into what they claim is the weaponization of the government, the use of cases exactly like this. And they're looking into whether federal money was involved, whether there were federal communications, whether people from the Justice Department or Biden himself even was involved with this. And they keep finding evidence like this.
And you call yourself a Christian supporting this? Jesus is Lord was banned from YouTube for just simply stating the facts. Now, back then, YouTube considered it to be misinformation when it was really information about what was going on. And this deep state coup against Trump, this started very early on. So Biden paying for this latest coup attempt, or this latest attempt to stop Trump from running, is just the icing on the cake. This started really, you would have to go back to the Russiagate, even before Russiagate, Obamagate. Google Obamagate timeline. The 2016 election year. This is on record. President Obama, or President Obama at the time, or former president at the time, his misuse of foreign intelligence gathering for spying on American citizens, mainly Trump, media manipulation, wiretaps, the intimidation of journalists and critics. So basically what they're doing is they're using government agencies to influence elections here in America. And then, of course, to thwart the election of President Trump. So this is still the same MO, the same goal, to subvert the new administration's or the Trump administration's agendas and his personnel, to delegitimize and undermine his presidency or his chances to run for president. So we have the Russiagate hoax, which served the same purpose of hampering the Trump administration. And then you had, here's on the left here, here's our characters of spies who lie. That's CIA Director John Brennan. That's how deep these tentacles go in the Democratic Party. They're a party of corruption, and no one should be supporting them, let alone a Christian. CIA John Brennan, along with the Department of Justice, again, their justice is not justice at all. It's just social justice, which isn't justice. But along with the DOJ and the FBI, they targeted Trump. It was a covert disinformation campaign that Donald Trump later coined the term fake news. Fake news, mainstream media, Russia alleging collusion between Trump and associates with Russia. The side that actually colluded with Hillary Clinton and the Democratic Party. That's Comey, the first on the left. He's the one, these are the prime movers in the deep state coup. He's the one who funneled the FISA data to Fusion GPS. Right? Go and Google all this stuff. I don't really have time to get into any details. It's out there. The information is out there. But he funneled raw data, FISA data, to make it appear that the FBI's illegal surveillance of Trump came from, outside the government. And then you have Brennan here. That's the second from the left, on the left. He collected the bogus Clinton Steele dossier. Google that. The Steele dossier from British intelligence sources. Clapper is the third from the left. He's the one who basically put his stamp of approval on this entire operation. This entire Russiagate, Russia hoax. He's the one that actually put his stamp of approval. Then he lied to Trump about the scheme, and then he leaked information to the press to make Trump look bad. And then you have Rogers here on the end. He's the lone hero, I would say, in this whole saga. He's the one that detected the Obama FBI was abusing the FISA computer system, the NSA, and he reported it, the illegal activity, to the FISA court. So he's not implicated in this, I don't think. But who knows? But these are the prime movers. These are the ones who have set up everything that's going on. These are the people behind it. These people are wicked. There's Clapper, Loretta Lynch. They have one goal in mind, and that's to improve their stake. That's to improve their position, money, power, and wealth. Right? Many of them have ideological goals, of course, but many of them are just protecting themselves. Right? That's just basically what they're doing. Peter Strzok over here. One of these guys in the picture was seen on camera pledging allegiance to Allah. In fact, he did the Shahada. I wouldn't put it past any of these snakes. So when this is why I want Trump. I want a Trump-Flynn presidency, because I think the General Flynn, the reason why they went after Flynn in the first place is because Flynn had inside information, because he was connected to the military. And he was allied with Trump, so they needed to get rid of Flynn because Flynn was Trump's inside guy, the one who can get in deep, right? In too deep. So that's why they went after Flynn in the first place. Sergeant Sim says, I'd rather live under a Muslim theocracy. I don't know about that. We had that discussion. I had that discussion with Slim, I think, last week. I don't know if I would live under a Muslim theocracy at this point. Now, if they manage to, quote unquote, fortify this election, and I'm using the language that Time magazine used, simply because YouTube is not, too friendly when it comes to the facts about the election, and to, prevent CensorTube from.
We interrupt this program. This is a national emergency. Important instructions will follow. The following message is transmitted at the request of the United States government. This is not a test.
So to prevent YouTube from doing that to my stream, I'm going to say fortify. If they fortify this election, and there's evidence, as there was in the last election, there's clear, undeniable proof that that's what happened. Even if the Supreme Court ignores it, I would say then I would agree with you, Slim. But if we're able to fight these guys and we're able to defeat this evil in our land, then I would rather stay here. So it all depends on what's going to happen. Under Muslim theocracy, both Catholics and gays, who are guys that like guys, would be executed. Serb says you're missing the red string. Missing the red string. All right. So you see, the liberals really don't have anything to bring to the table as far as defending this, and you rightfully so. R&R has pieced this theory together using string. Well, let's see what CNN has to say about my theory. CNN seems to agree with me.
Your reaction now that you've had a chance to go through it, is it what you thought it was going to be, and are you unimpressed?
It is what I thought it was going to be, in terms of focusing on the payments that were made, the falsification of the records, and really tied to the payment that was made to Stormy Daniels. In terms of a case that's being brought against a former president, it's a little underwhelming. There's not more to it. There's not more violations, tax violations. There's not an incredible new set of facts that we didn't know about publicly. It's really the facts of this case as they have existed for basically almost 7 years.
Yeah, that's CNN. That's CNN for you. There you go. There you go, Jefferson. Yeah, I watch CNN. Not even they can mount up or string together an argument to support DA, District Attorney of Manhattan. Alvin Bragg, I think his name is. Not even they can mount up enough fake news to support this indictment. One of these guys in the picture was seen in the camera pledging allegiance to Allah. Again, I wouldn't put that past any liberal. Anything but Christ is the disease they suffer from. So not only do they suffer from selective Google syndrome, as we saw in the case of Raging Atheist and Red Fang, but they also suffer from the ABC disease. The ABC pandemic is anything but Christ. Anything but Christ. Okay, they will support anything. They'll support the Dalai Lama before they support Christ. Anything but Christ. That's a disease that only the Holy Spirit can heal you of. Liberals suffer from what I call Google selective syndrome. They don't even know how to Google correct. It's a sad state of affairs.
I'm not a liberal.
Democrat, right? They vote Democrat, right? If you're speaking about a
atheists, or 69% of atheists vote Democrat.
Vote right. Yes, they identify with.
It's not the entire majority.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Red Fang, he's clever. That Red Fang. So then we had after the Russiagate, Russia, we had these sham impeachments of Donald Trump by Democrat leaders, Nancy Pelosi, Adam Schiff, he might be on here somewhere, Gerald Nadler, they tried to obscure what we learned about Spygate. They partnered with Facebook, they partnered with Twitter, right? Remember the 3 signs, or I think I'm up to 4 now, 3 signs that you're in a fascist state. Just look at what Mussolini did. He partnered with big business. He partnered with big pharma. He partnered with the media, right? All to win, to convince the people that he was legitimate, right? The same thing, the Democratic Party did the same thing. They're the party of fascism. They were trying to obscure the revelations that we found or that we learned about Spygate and the FISA abuse scandals. So the Democratic Party, the Clinton campaign, the Obama administration, they illegally colluded with foreign actors to interfere with the 2016 presidential election. And the FISA court ruled that the basis of the Mueller investigation was invalid. So after those failures, they manufactured evidence in 2019 to begin an impeachment inquiry under these new House rules that the Democrats just created. Imagine playing a game of Monopoly and you're winning the game, and then the Democrat comes in, because only Democrats do this, and change House rules and adopt new rules in order so that you lose, to rig the game. They did this with the election. So Donald Trump is innocent until proven guilty, but not according to liberals. According to liberals, you arrest the person, and then you try to find something on him, right? So then you can justify arresting him. So this was the first impeachment. Then we had the second impeachment, which was even worse, where they doctored the video. This was the January 6th speech where Donald Trump says to go peacefully to the Capitol and protest peacefully. They doctored the video. Who does this but a corrupt government? They doctored the video that they presented in their trials, changed the video, edited the video, removing the part where he said to go peacefully, to try to suggest that he somehow incited the January 6th riot. I mean, so this is just another one in a long line, and it won't end here. When he wins in 2024, and I think he will win, they're going to come up with something else. I think they're going to assassinate him. Ultimately, I think that's what they're going to do. If they can't stop him, they will kill him. This is how wicked these people are. This is not a conspiracy theory anymore. This is a fact. So you have the Obamagate timeline, you have the Muellergate timeline, you have the Russiagate timeline, and these people are as wicked as they come. Peter Strzok here, crazy Google-eyed looking liberal, referred to as the espionage machine party. That's what the Democratic Party is. These are small groups. Not all of the FBI is wicked or corrupted. Just like most institutions, there is always an element that's wicked and corrupt. But they're a small group within the FBI and the intelligence community that conspired to prevent the election of Donald Trump through illegal use of wiretaps, spying. And they continue to use this as an insurance policy. That was the reason for the wiretaps, because if Donald Trump won, they were going to try to remove him from office after he won. This was in 2016. That's the reasoning for the wiretaps. Okay, and Donald Trump came out and said they were spying on my campaign. And anyone who said that or repeated that was considered to be producing fake news or false information. misinformation. They were censored, banned. Even our PhDs who spoke out against their mandates, they're mandating the medicine, even they were silenced. Anyone who spoke out against these people's narrative, because many of these people had interest, financial interest in the pharmaceutical industry. So if you were producing news that could hurt the pharmaceutical industry, you can hurt them. Many of these Democrats have investments, and Republicans have invested in the pharmaceutical companies. So when our PhDs who were Christian, who acted in good faith or were trying to act in good faith, when they came out with information, they were silenced.
Did you go to medical school?
I did not go to medical school.
I'm sorry?
I did not go to medical school.
That's what I thought. Why do you think you or anyone else at Twitter had the medical expertise to censor a doctor's expert opinion?
Our policies regarding COVID were designed to protect individuals. We were seeing...
You guys censored Harvard-educated doctors, Stanford-educated doctors, doctors that are educated in the best places in the world, and you silenced those voices. Did the U.S. government ever contact you or anyone at Twitter to pressure Twitter to moderate or censor certain tweets? Yes or no?
We received legal demands to remove content from the platform from the U.S. government and governments all around the world.
Thank God for Matt Taibbi. Thank God for Elon Musk for allowing to show us in the world that Twitter was basically a subsidiary of the FBI. Where did you go to medical school?
I did not go to medical school.
I'm sorry?
I did not go to medical school.
That's what I thought.
That's what I thought. These people are wicked, saints. You can no longer trust them. You can no longer support them. They not only do they support evil, I would say that many of them are evil, especially the ones at the top of the pyramid. Yeah, we saw a lot of violence coming from the trans community. I'm still waiting for the videos of the pastors and priests going in to LGBTQ communities and shooting up their children. I'm still waiting for video evidence of that. Now, if you're not familiar with the Trans Day of Vengeance, it was promoted heavily on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, heavily. And trans were putting on their wigs and their lipstick and borrowing a gun from their neighbors and doing videos holding semi-automatic weapons as if they actually knew how to use them. And then 6 people wind up dead, 3 kids. And then I was able to find this one, but all of these publications disappeared all of a sudden. Why? Because they didn't want to feel as though they were responsible for the shootings, even though they were. Now, let's take this same scenario and flip it to where it is a Donald Trump supporter who actually did the shooting. And before the shooting, you had advertisements of a cisgender male, straight white male, Patriot Day of Vengeance on Facebook, Twitter, and Facebook, Twitter, and all of these publications allowed this to stay up, which they wouldn't have. But let's just pretend that they did allow it to stay up, right? Imagine the backlash. Imagine the backlash had someone actually picked up a gun and went and carried out this day of vengeance against a group of LGBTQ children who maybe they were mutilated. I don't know. And they have their own school now because they can't function in public school because he mutilated them. Okay, but imagine the backlash. Imagine the backlash. Imagine the discussions. Discussions would still be going on today. It would be congressional hearings.
It is a reflection on how brainwashed a lot of the people in New York are in voting for Democrats, no matter what. He hasn't really charged a felony. You can't take 2 misdemeanors and say they equal a felony. That's the most idiotic thing I've ever heard. What he was going to try to do was he was going to take a state misdemeanor and hook it up with a federal felony. And then somebody told him, I guess, he's a state prosecutor, not a federal prosecutor, and the court doesn't have jurisdiction in New York to try a federal felony. So that would have been thrown out. So then he tries hooking this to a state misdemeanor, as if 2 misdemeanors equal a felony. Well, that would be one heck of a change in criminal jurisprudence just to get a president. I mean, what a sad thing that we elected this man.
Just to get Donald Trump. Get Donald Trump. Remember, he ran on getting Donald Trump. That's his. That's how he got elected in Manhattan. I'm going to get Donald Trump. So he had to get Donald Trump. He had to come up with something. He had to come up with something, right? And he did come up with something. He came up with a grocery list, 34 items, and that's where he got the 34 charges. Because the payments to Stormy Daniels was made in 34 installments, we'll say. So 1 installment equals 1 charge. 34 counts.
President Biden was here today. What is your message to him?
That he doesn't really believe Black Lives Matter because the only thing he offers black women is abortion. You aren't doing us any favors by giving us a ride to the abortion clinic and paying for that black life to be lynched in the womb. If you really want to help black women, if you really want us to believe that Black Lives Matter to you, offer us the same things you offer illegal immigrants at the border.
Boom. Offer us. Did you know that Biden is providing illegal immigrants with Social Security? Let me get this straight. People who come over here illegally are paid from our Social Security fund, but then he gets on the podium, behind the podium, reads his teleprompter. Republicans want to take away Social Security. You are currently giving Social Security funds to illegal immigrants. And you have the gall. This is how dumb these people are to actually fall for this. These people aren't smart. They're not smart. They're not filled with the Holy Spirit or the Spirit of truth. So of course, Biden makes a lot of sense to them. But listen to the chat. Look in the chat. They really don't have any defense for Biden. It's conspiracy theories. No, these are facts. These are well-known facts. They used to be conspiracy. You used to consider them conspiracy theories, Spygate. Now the facts are out. Now even the left-wing media is admitting that Donald Trump was spied on. It's no secret anymore. What now? Go put your head in the sand. Wait, before you do that, pay for someone's gas, liberal, and then go put your head in the sand. Okay? Until Biden disappears. Then you can come back out. Maybe we might accept you back into society after Biden is gone, but not now.
There's an organization called the North American Association for Man and Boy Love. They're trying to normalize and legalize pedophilia.
Oh, no, we got to blow them up.
It's on the internet. North American Association.
That sounds crazy.
Oh, my goodness. In fact, it's already been predicted that when the next DSM comes out, pedophilia will be normal behavior.
Stay away. If I see any of you near a school, I'm calling 911. Calling 911.
I have no clue what's going on. I have nowhere to turn because I no longer have any trust in Kaiser Permanente, and I can't afford treatment out of pocket. I wish I could have my breasts back, but a reconstruction may be riddled with even more complications, and no matter what, I will never be able to breastfeed my future children. Those organs are gone forever. I have 2 giant scars across my chest that remind me every day that I was butchered by the institutions that we all thought we could trust. I went to my surgeon because I was desperate for answers, and he just told me, it's fine. That's completely normal. Just put Vaseline over it, which didn't make sense to me, but I thought that because nothing else was working, I might as well try it. That gave me a skin infection. It hasn't healed at all, and the wound, whatever it is actually spreading across my chest. I have no clue what's going on. I have nowhere to turn because I no longer have any trust in Kaiser Permanente, and I can't afford treatment out of pocket.
Wow. there should have been a day of vengeance for those victims against liberals who promoted this as natural, normal, and healthy. That's who the day of vengeance should have been against. Not against Christians who have been warning you for decades what was going on in your schools, what was going on behind the scenes. And now it's out in the open, like myself. Now it's out in the open. Now call Jill a conspiracy theorist now.
Today we salute you, former Budweiser drinkers of America. Together, you've sworn to never drink another drop of Bud Light or any other beer from Anheuser-Busch.
Ancient history.
Sure, it might taste like piss from a hamster, but it gave us a cheap buzz.
Oh!
And a cheap buzz is exactly what we've needed over the last 2 years.
You said it, brother.
So while there might be a tear in your beer and a hole in your heart, hold your heads high and know that today is a new day, and there's other beers in the sea.
There's other beers in the sea.
Born with a penis and you want to wear a dress? Have at it.
Do you think it should be okay for adults to perform drag performances in front of children?
It depends on the nature of the performance.
How about a sexually explicit one?
Of course not. Where we differ is in how we define what is profane, what is pornography.
How about oral sex to 8-year-olds? That's probably profane, right?
Excuse me?
Yeah, exactly. That's in textbooks across the country, including in this state, that liberals are defending as free speech.
Okay.
They're teaching 8-year-olds the most graphic sexual practices in public schools across the country.
Wow. Get these perverts out of Washington, D.C. Do everything you can to get the Democrats out of any position of power before it's too late. Man, these people are sick. Speaking of sick, next week we have to rebuke the Roman Catholic Church. I've been putting this off for a few weeks, trying to give Slim Jim some time to come up with some arguments to defend this his church. The following week, I want to deal with the incident or the situation in Uganda where Americans, liberals, see, don't say America anymore. Whenever it's something evil, it's most likely a liberal or a Democrat. So just call it out: slavery, Jim Crow. Those are all Democratic policies, all created, instituted, and enforced by Democratic officials. Okay, so let's start calling the history accurately and clear when we speak on these issues. The Democrats threaten these countries who do not want to accept their agenda, their LGBTQI alphabet mafia agenda. They don't want any parts of it. Okay, one president even went so far as to make it illegal to promote homosexuality. But we're going to discuss the actual case or the actual law. I want to read the actual bill because there's a lot of misinformation about what the actual bill states. But they don't want any parts of this agenda, and rightfully so. I stand with Uganda. I stand with those countries who are protecting their citizens from this disease, from this plague of society. No government should want that promoted, will want this behavior promoted as natural, normal, and healthy. It's one thing to make accommodations for those who have issues, mental issues, health issues, birth defects even, but it's another to justify it and to promote it as natural, normal, and healthy. Okay, that's a sign that you really don't have anything but your feelings and inklings that are that you're using to prop up your support for these ideas. Ideas have consequences, okay, deadly ones, if you are talking about homosexuality or sodomy and the promotion therein.
Madam President, what's your position on decriminalizing homosexual acts in Liberia?
I've already taken a position on that.
that we're not going to sign any such law.
You won't sign any law to decriminalize?
I won't sign any law that has to do with that area. None whatsoever.
Nope.
We like ourselves just the way we are.
So, in essence, homosexuality for 2 gay men under the books is illegal in Liberia.
We've got certain traditional values in our society that we'd like to preserve.
So you're saying you wouldn't decriminalize that current law?
I've just said to you, we're going to maintain our traditional values.
Oh man, the only one that likes these new laws is Raging Atheist.
William got that good dick. That's what I'm wondering.
And if they're non-binary, why would you go after the club where you feel safe at? Why would you do that to a community where you are welcomed in if you are non-binary?
Jesus is Lord. He's coming back. I'll see you guys next time. I got a game to watch. The New York Knicks are playing today, and in the second round of the playoffs. So, got to cut the stream short, but I'll be back next week to rebuke the Roman Catholic Church. Slim Jim, if you want to join me and try to defend your wicked church, please be my guest.
If you reject Christ, then the moment you take your first step through the gates of hell, the only thing you will hear is all of creation standing to its feet and applauding and praising God because God has rid the earth of you.
I take full responsibility for my going to hell.